The forest was eerily quiet as I trekked through its dense, shadowy expanse. I had been hiking for days, far from civilization, seeking solace after my life fell apart. My wife had left me, my job was gone, and the world felt like a hostile, barren place. But I hadn't expected to stumble across something so strange or so life-altering. It started with a faint sound. At first, I thought it was the wind, but as I ventured closer, I realized it was a voice, a haunting, musical wail that seemed to echo off the moss-covered rocks. The sound led me to the mouth of a cave, its entrance concealed by vines and shadows. Inside, the air was damp and cold, tinged with a faint metallic tang. As I ventured deeper, the wailing grew louder, and soon I saw her. She was unlike anything I'd ever seen, sitting amidst glowing bioluminescent plants. Her alien form shimmered in the dim light. Her skin was a pale lavender, with faint, glowing patterns that pulsed like a heartbeat. Her large, luminous eyes were filled with sorrow, and two small, fragile-looking alien children clung to her sides. The children were smaller versions of her, their eyes wide with fear. She raised her head, and her voice, both in my ears and somehow in my mind, pleaded, "Please help us." The mother's story. I didn't run. I didn't scream. Something about her desperation rooted me to the spot. Slowly, I lowered my backpack and crouched down, trying to appear less threatening. What are you?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. Her glowing eyes locked onto mine. "I am Velara, of the Titan people. We fled our world after it was destroyed by war, seeking refuge across the stars. Our ship crashed here, on your Earth. My mate, he didn't survive the impact." She glanced at the children, her glowing patterns dimming. "Now it is just me and my young ones. But this world is dangerous. We are hunted. I can no longer protect them alone." Her words struck a chord deep within me. I didn't know what to say. What could a human like me possibly do to help an alien family? A strange proposal. Velara rose, her movements graceful despite the obvious exhaustion weighing her down. "I have watched your kind. Your males are strong, resourceful. You care for your families. I need someone to protect my children, to stand with me against the dangers of this world." Her glowing patterns brightened as she stepped closer. "I need a mate, a father for my young." The words hit me like a lightning bolt. "You want me to be your husband? To raise your children?" Velara nodded, her expression earnest. "I know it is much to ask, but you have the courage to come this far into the wilderness. You have the strength to survive. And my children need someone to guide them, to help them understand this world." I stared at her, overwhelmed. I had lost everything back in the human world. But here was a chance, however strange and terrifying, to matter again, to be needed. Life in the cave. I didn't agree immediately. Velara was patient, letting me come to terms with her request. Over the following days, I stayed in the cave, helping her scavenge for food and water. I learned about her people, their advanced but war-torn civilization, and their escape to the stars. Her children, Ki and Lair, were curious and playful despite their fear of the world outside the cave. They clung to me, asking endless questions in their melodic language, which Velara translated. Slowly, I found myself growing attached to them. The cave became our home. I used my knowledge of survival to fortify it, creating traps to deter predators and camouflage to hide its entrance. Velara taught me her people's technology, sharing tools salvaged from their crashed ship. Together, we build a fragile but functional life. The danger outside. One night, as we sat around a small, glowing orb Velara used for warmth and light, the danger she had spoken of arrived. A group of heavily armed men, their flashlights piercing the darkness, stormed into the cave. "Step away from the alien," one of them barked, leveling his weapon at Velara. "She's dangerous, and those creatures could be carrying diseases." I stepped between them, my heart pounding. "They're just a mother and her children. They're not a threat to anyone." The leader sneered. "You don't get it, do you? The government's paying good money for specimens like these. Step aside, or we'll take them by force." Velara clutched her children, her glowing patterns flaring with fear. I felt something rise within me, a fierce, protective instinct I hadn't known I had. "They're my family," I said, my voice steady. "You'll have to go through me." The turning point. The standoff was tense, but Velara used her advanced technology to create a diversion. A sudden burst of light and sound disoriented the men, giving us time to escape. We fled deep into the forest, Velara carrying Key while I carried Lair. When we finally stopped, gasping for breath, Velara turned to me. "You risked your life for us." "Why?" I looked at her, at the children clinging to her sides, and realized the answer was simple. "Because you're my family now. A new beginning." From that day forward, we lived not just as survivors, but as a family. Velara and I worked together to teach the children about Earth, blending human and Titan knowledge to give them the tools they'd need to thrive. Our bond deepened over time. Valera's alien beauty and wisdom became a source of comfort and strength for me, while I offered her the stability and protection she longed for. Together, we created a life filled with hope and love, even in the face of the unknown. I had entered that cave a broken man, but I left it as something greater, a husband, a father, and a protector of a family that transcended worlds.